Inside an elementary school, much like the one on Twin Oak Street, there happened a magical story you must see to believe. It was a normal, dark, and snowy morning, or so we all thought. Mr. Mario was rushing to prepare the cafeteria for all the little children friends. He was sweeping away when all of a sudden, at the corner of his eye, he noticed a fuzzy shadow whiz past the kitchen door. With his trusty broom, he tiptoed slowly through the kitchen, and then he saw a baby cow from the field. He couldn't believe what he saw, so he rubbed his eyes and looked again. It wasn't a baby cow. It was a baby reindeer eating the lunches. Mario yelled, "Stop! Don't eat the kids' lunches!" The reindeer stopped, ran through a glass window, and flew into the sky. Mario followed him outside and shouted, "Get out and don't come back!" All of a sudden, Mrs. Price entered the cafeteria and shouted, "Who made this mess?" Mr. Mario tried to explain the outrageous event about the reindeer eating lunches, and with a puzzled look on her face, Mrs. Price went to investigate. Mrs. Price saw the hoof prints on the cafeteria floor and headed out to the window. When she looked out, she rubbed her eyes in disbelief. What she saw was the whole first grade chasing the reindeer out in the field. "Stop! Drop! Hit the folks! Don't stop and get the reindeer before the Grinch gets here!" Mrs. Price yelled. As soon as the 5th grade students heard Mrs. Price yelling, "The Grinch is coming!" they decided to do the mannequin challenge before going out to help. When they got there, they saw the 4th grade classes doing juju on that beat and the teachers were dabbing. This made the reindeer laugh, so he decided to join in on the fun. Dr. Hammett came running out of the school screaming, "The Grinch is here, and while you were dancing, he stole the tree from the front office." All the students and teachers stopped dancing and ran to see what happened. When they got there, they saw a large bag where the tree had been. Dr. Hammett reached for the bag, and all of the 2nd graders were in the bag. When Dr. Hammett touched the bag, it went poof, and all of a sudden, the 2nd graders came out doing Hit the Quan. Dr. Hammett took out her cell phone and started to record them when suddenly the lights went off again and everyone started screaming and bumping into each other. After 15 minutes, when the lights came back up, the 3rd grade students noticed that the Grinch had stolen all of the library books and computers. She was frantically running around looking for all of the books. She was so devastated because she had just shelved all of the new books she had ordered. After she wiped the tears from her face, she noticed green footprints headed out towards the playground where she found that it had begun to snow. The pre-K students were building snowmen as Miss Tubb walked over to ask Mrs. Coronado if she had seen the Grinch with her books. Mrs. Coronado was about to say no when something green rushed by. Miss Tubb and Mrs. Coronado looked around but didn't see anything but a single book lying in the snow. As they went to pick it up, they heard 23 4-year-olds scream, "Over there!" The teachers turned to see Miss Salmon's 6th grade students running after the Grinch, trying to get the books back. The Grinch ran into the magical forest to discover that there was all kinds of kids from Mrs. Kerr's class nay-naying and eating marshmallows. They looked to the right and saw Justin Timberlake eating sandwiches. Justin saw the Grinch zip by with Miss Tubbs' books and started singing, "I Can't Stop the Feeling," to catch the Grinch. The gingerbread man heard Justin singing and came to join in the fun. Miss Kerr explained to the gingerbread man that was what was happening. He said, "Don't worry, 'cause I can run as fast as I can to catch the Grinch man." As Miss Kerr joined the gingerbread man doing the running man, Dr. Hammett saw the Grinch and Mrs. Grandstaff, Millie, rocking with her students on the basketball court. Dr. Hammett suddenly started singing, "Relax, relax, don't do it, relax, don't do it." Everyone was wondering what she was talking about. Even Mrs. Harless was confused. And she yelled out, "Yo, I don't know, turn off the lights and I'll glow." And everyone started to sing, "Ice, Ice Grinch." And suddenly the Grinch appeared in the dark, glowing as bright as a glowing blue star. Mrs. Kelly stormed in with her big, powerful, magical candy cane sword. She jumped out and struck the Grinch down with a mighty swing. Mrs. Kelly's minions lifted what was left of the Grinch and took him to Dr. Hammett's office jail. As the Grinch was in jail, he fell over a rock and bumped his head on the jail toilet. The Grinch was knocked out and began to have a dream about Miss Pippin helping him break out of jail. As the Grinch dreamt of Princess Pippin's rescue plan, Mrs. Richardson's class was preparing the secret weapon, Doug the Destroyer. You could hear their chant all the way from the magical forest. "We're starting with the man in the mirror." But right before they reached the jail, they were stopped, much to their surprise, by the Grinch. He broke out of jail. He was ready to be home to play with his new books and computers. The Grinch jumped onto his green sleigh and met Hercules, the god, who sent him back to jail. Then Mrs. Owens and Miss Fox came to try to free the Grinch. The Grinch hit the quan and flew away. Rudolph flew away with Santa when Miss Landrian jumped on Rudolph's back. She yelled, "Fly faster! We have to catch the Grinch and bring him back to jail." Meanwhile, Santa was too busy eating cheesecake to help fly. Rudolph crashed on a cotton candy cloud. Luckily, Miss Landrian's class was riding Santa's sleigh with the other reindeer and came to the rescue. Mrs. Brown's class was not concerned about the Grinch. They had a problem of their own. Their teacher had gone missing. She was last seen in the library checking out books for their class. It was starting to look like things were much worse than we thought. The thought of someone taking our books and computers were alarming. But now our teachers? This is not good. Mrs. Freeman's class thought they should call Santa for help. They remembered the Santa cam in their classroom and ran to send a message. "Help, Santa!" Santa came to our school in his sleigh. The students waited for him by the front door. Santa and the students saw a green flash go down the hall. When the students looked back, Santa was missing. Mrs. Davis's class hears all the racket and rushes out of their classroom to find a red bag in the middle of the hall. Grace, a student, notices the bag begins to move. All of the boys yell and run away. While the intrigued girls decide to investigate the moving bag. As the girls moved closer to the bag, it continued to move. One girl asked, "Should we open it?" Just then, the bag began to move away from the girls, sliding quickly down the hall. With quick feet, the girls began to chase it. Once they caught up with the bag, they opened it, and to their surprise, the bag appeared to be empty. The curious student picked up the bag and gave it a good shakedown. Suddenly, a small silver key came flying out. To their surprise, the key unlocked the door to all of the school's secrets. So Grace decided to check all the keyholes in all the doors to find the special door. Maybe then and only then could they find out what happened to Mrs. Brown and Santa. Grace finally found the magical door. It opened into the Grinch's secret hideout. As Grace slowly opened the door, she pulled out her iPhone 7S flashlight and discovered Dr. Vroonlin making a speech to arrest the Grinch. Mr. Mario and Santa were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, chips, and cake while watching the speech on YouTube. Then the cameras went in B101. The cameras went black, the internet went out, and it was too dark to see anything. This meant one thing. The Grinch hacked into the electric company's mainframe and sent a virus that shut the power down to the entire city. Good thing the kids from Mrs. Bauman's class knew Ant-Man. He was able to disable the virus. When the lights finally came on, we saw the Grinch running away with Mrs. Bauman while whipping and neighing. All of the third graders took off after her, but a clever student in Miss Schonfeld's class decided to create a Grinch trap. They set it up in the frigid portable. Presents were used as bait, and when the Grinch saw the trap, he cut it and ran away. Miss Weber's class set a sticky web to catch the Grinch. The sticky web turned out to be quicksand. The Grinch got stuck in the quicksand. He moved and kicked and tried to get out, but he couldn't. It looked like he was finally caught. But to our surprise, his long-lost brother, Adam Sandler, helped the Grinch out of the quicksand. Then the Flash came out of nowhere with his sister, Miss Hall, rocking her speedy boots to capture the Grinch and incarcerate him in Miss Schonfeld's Chamber of Secrets. Then Miss Serrato's class came in with a chancla in their hand, ready to destroy the Grinch. Suddenly they had a change of heart and simultaneously joined hands and began to sing as grade level by grade level rhythmically joined in. The Grinch, feeling relieved from being spared, also joined in. Like magic, the ice around his heart began to melt, and they sang, sang, sang.